How are you today, America? This was a historic day for America and for Federal Reserve policy history. The reason is simply that Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell finally admitted what this administration has been saying all along, that tariffs do not cause inflation. And in the event that they might cause inflation, it's a one-step, one-time process that doesn't create any kind of inflationary spiral that requires the Federal Reserve to maintain high interest rates. So let me say that again so everybody understands this. Powell has been using so-called tariff uncertainty as a reason for keeping interest rates well above what they should be. Our judgment is well over 100 basis points higher. If you look at comparative rates around the world, we're at over 4 percentage points in terms of short-run interest rates. And you have Europe at less than half that, China 3 times lower than that, and Japan at 0.5 basis points. And what that kind of disparity does for the United States is pushes the dollar up, makes it harder for exporters, pushes our mortgage rates up, kills the housing industry. Credit card debt makes it more expensive for us to pay for our national debt because 20 to 30% of the short-term debt is funded with short-term debt. So let me say this once more. It's a historic day for America, historic day for Trump tariff policy because the Fed Chair Jay Powell has finally admitted that tariffs don't cause inflation, and even if they do, it's a one-time deal that does not lead to inflationary spiral. Therefore, there is no need to maintain high interest rates because of this so-called tariff uncertainty. The stock market and bond market recognize that today. We had bond yields fall, particularly on the 10-year, dramatically. That's good for America. We had the stock market hit record highs today, over 45,000 on the Dow. So good for Jay Powell. I don't know what he was drinking, maybe some tariff French wine there in Jackson Hole, but finally he's seeing it our way. The only question now is whether the Federal Reserve is going to act on that, cut rates. We don't need a little 25 basis point cut. We need 50 to 100 or more right now to make America great again. Okay.
Do you think
I take a couple of questions.
Do you think Trump should fire Lisa Cook?
You know, here's what's interesting about that. When I was on the outside before the president got elected, I was very, very critical of Lisa Cook. You can find that in a tweet and maybe an article or public comments. And my beef with Lisa Cook at the time was that she was simply unqualified for the job. And she is. She's done a terrible job there. If it turns out that she lied about her mortgage application, that's grounds certainly for firing. So as the boss says, let's see what happens. What else you got?
Navarro,
Yes,
when it
ma'am.
comes to Canada today dropping some of its retaliatory
Don't want to do that. I just want to deal with the Fed. This is a big story. This is the only thing I want to talk about. Any other questions about the Federal Reserve and what happened today?
I have a question about Powell. If he's
Sure.
if he's now signaling that he might lower interest rates, does that mean the president's going to take the pressure off of kind of asking him to resign, attacking him on social media?
You'd have to ask the president about that. I have been very vocal and I've written extensively about Jay Powell even before I joined the administration, before Donald Trump was the 47th president. What the problem with Jay Powell is he consistently makes blunders. He's made 3 major policy blunders in the 6 years he's been chairman. When we were here in 2018, he raised rates much too rapidly because he didn't understand the beauty of Trumpnomics, the ability of us to grow faster because of the tax cuts, the deregulation, the fair trade, the strategic energy dominance, and he choked off a 0.5% to 1% of GDP growth rate, which is close to 1 million jobs and a ton of GDP money we lost. And don't ask me about that. The Federal Reserve itself, one of the regional banks, basically verified that. And then, of course, when he was chairman during Joe Biden, he was too late Powell there. He didn't raise rates when we were having this tremendous amount of demand pull inflation because of the mismanagement and reckless spending of Joe Biden. And now he's got rates well above. And for those of you just joined here, remember, we're at over 4% short-term interest rates. Europe's at 2%. China's at 1.5%. Japan's at 0.5%. That sets up all sorts of arbitrage opportunities. It artificially inflates the dollar, makes it hard for our exports, and it's just a bad thing for America. All right, any other thing? Just on the Jay Powell thing, the Fed. Just the Fed. That's all I'm here for. This is a this is a historic day on the Fed. So, have you got anything else on the Fed?
On the Fed.
Yes, ma'am.
We have heard Secretary Bessent talking before that he wants a more comprehensive audit and review of the Fed.
I'll let Secretary Bessent speak for himself. He does that quite eloquently. Okay, thanks for your time. Thank you.